Hi everyone, I'm Kyle Kulp. On behalf of our family, welcome to Kulp Family Dairy. Thank you, Governor Shapiro, for taking time out of your busy schedule to visit our farm. Also, thank you to Chris Hoffman for being here, Representative Scott Barger, Joe Diamond, David Rice, Steve McKnight, and other friends and family, and thank you all for being here today, and definitely appreciate it. My siblings and I represent the third generation of our family farm. To give a brief history of our business, my grandparents moved to Blair County in March of 1973 from Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, with their 38 cows and a few pieces of machinery. In 1999, my father, Phil Culp, along with grandfather Larry Culp, left behind their tie stall barn and constructed a new state-of-the-art dairy facility. Over the last 26 years, through hard work and the blessing of many great employees, the business today stands at 2,900 milking cows on 3 locations with 47 full-time employees. As my generation has entered the business, we are now excited to make the next large investment into our business for the benefit of our cows, our employees, our community, and Pennsylvania agriculture. We are very appreciative for the strong communication throughout the permitting process from all parties involved and the timeliness of our permit review and release. Our submission to the local conservation district began February 5th of this year, with our NPDES permit being released and approved August 7th this summer by North Woodbury Township. For the size of this project, the permitting time was remarkably quick relative to historical norms. A strong testament to the governor and his team. Our consultant, who we worked with in this project for engineering, has told us that this will be the largest investment ever in on-farm infrastructure in Pennsylvania. We are excited what this means for our future. Many people have taken interest in our project and helped us along the way. We are very thankful for their help and guidance. I would like to thank them. Thank you, Secretary Redding. I'd also like to recognize Ryan Costival, Katie McLaughlin, Nicole Madish, Rich Heater, Jill Whitcomb, Matthew Ziegler, Nathan Phillips, Scott Williamson, Hans Schallenberger, Jared Lescavage, and also you, Governor Shapiro. Thank you. It's a pleasure having you here today.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Kyle.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Kyle. It is wonderful to be here on the Kulp Dairy Farm. I want you to know that I feel like I've made the same journey as the Kulp family. I'm just a kid from Montgomery County who's now out here with all of you, and so I appreciate the opportunity to see this now third-generation farm do extraordinary things under Kyle's leadership, and I'm terrifically thankful for all that they have done for our communities. And I'm really glad to be here today to highlight your dairy farm as an example of the progress that's being made in agriculture all across Pennsylvania. I want you to know that while this is my first visit here to your farm in person, I've seen a whole bunch about your farm on Grace's Instagram page, so I've had the opportunity to follow all of the trials and tribulations of the Culp family and the farming here, and just appreciate the way you highlight both farming and faith, 2 central pillars of our Commonwealth. And so, Grace, thanks for all you do for this family farm. You know, this family farm that's been here for 3 generations, as you just heard from Kyle, is undergoing a massive expansion that is going to be great for not just the Culp family or the dairy industry across our Commonwealth, but for this particular region. And I know that farmers like the Culps are always looking to grow and to expand and to be able to do more and do it far more efficiently. I think in order, though, to make that happen, to make expansions like this happen on time and within the budget of these family farms, the Culps knew that they needed to be in a place where they could meet their construction deadlines. And the key document they needed to be able to meet that construction timeline was a stormwater permit through what's known as DEP, the Department of Environmental Protection. Getting that permit done on time was obviously critical because they got to fulfill their milk contracts and make sure they've got the facilities they need to care for their new herd of dairy cow. And look, time is money for farmers, and folks like the Culps Well, they need a state government that's working just as hard for them as they are working on their farmlands, and we need to be able to get this done for them on time. I'm proud to report that thanks to the incredible work of our administration's Office of Transformation and Opportunity, led by Katie McLaughlin, who is here. Thank you very much, Katie, as well as the Department of Environmental Protection. The Kulps were actually able to get their permit 4 months earlier than expected, and they were able to do it with no drama and no worry along the way. They had a government that was working with them as opposed to against them, which I know is often the feeling people have when they have to approach government for assistance. Our team, led by Katie, worked with them throughout the entire process to make sure they submitted everything that was needed so that we could process their permit in a timely manner. We sped up government, and that allowed the Kulps to start their construction months sooner, and it gave them the confidence to know that they could invest in their operations here in Blair County. And so, look, when I talk to farmers, and I've talked to them a lot, especially early on as governor, and especially with Chris Hoffman, my good friend who leads the Farm Bureau, they made very clear to me that they want government out of their way, and they want things to move quickly so they can just simply work with the land. And that what farmers really were asking for throughout this process was access to capital, speed, and predictability. And I'm proud of the fact that just about 2.5 years into my time as your governor, we're delivering on all three of those things. Chris understands this better than anyone, and he challenges us every day to take the strides that we've made and go even further. And he's been a wonderful partner in our progress here. Farmers are blessed to have Chris Hoffman at the helm of the Farm Bureau. And this guy sits in my office in the Capitol. We stand in farms together, and we're constantly talking through ideas on how to make ag stronger in Pennsylvania. He's one of the reasons why we were able to create a first in the nation Ag Innovation Fund seeded with $10 million initially. No other state has this, and allows farms to have access to capital for innovation that is needed to make greater efficiencies on their farms and be able to produce more of what they do. But we understand driving out those dollars is only part of the process. You've got to speed up government, and you've got to keep up with the pace set by our farmers all across Pennsylvania. And I know that farmers need to move quickly, and so do we. We need to make sure that we capitalize on your deep culture of stewardship to help work the land that you are blessed to live on, and to work with you as partners in that progress. I know that that progress can oftentimes be slowed down by a permit process that seems very, very unwieldy, very confusing, and very difficult. We have worked to change that. We now have predictability in our process. And thanks to the incredible work at DEP and at the Department of Agriculture under the great Secretary Russell Redding, we're now moving at the speed of farming. DEP specifically has eliminated 98% of its backlog during my time as your governor, and have processed 20,000 really complex permits. Over at the Department of Agriculture, they have processed more than 70,000 permits in just the last couple of years. And they've done it in 70% less time than they were doing in years before. So we're processing more permits, and we're doing it more quickly. The other thing we've implemented during my time as your governor is a money-back guarantee. So if we promise the Kulps you're going to get your permit in 4 months, we're going to give you that permit in 4 months. And if we don't, we will give you your money back for your application fee. Now, I know most of you don't want your money back. You want your permit processed, but it's a way of holding our bureaucracy accountable. You should know that we have processed in the last 2 years hundreds of thousands of permits, and we've only had to issue 5 refunds, just 5, for failing to meet a deadline. And by the way, DEP has issued no refunds. Every permit's been done on time, and Department of Agriculture only had to issue 1. Why do I share that with you? Because we're putting our money where our mouth is, because we believe in the systems we've built. We believe they can move quickly, and we believe in giving you the peace of mind to know if we tell you it's going to take a month, it's really going to take a month, and you'll be able to get where you need to go and get it done quickly. It is really important that you know we've got skin in the game with you, that we respect the work that you do here on our lands in Pennsylvania. I'll share with you just one final piece. As a Commonwealth, I'm a pro-growth governor, and we are growing at a rate that we've not seen before. In part, it's because we are focused and determined in our economic development work to be focused on just a few key areas within our economy. And for the first time ever, one of those key pillars of economic growth and opportunity is agriculture. You know, I think ag has always been looked at as an important part of our heritage, important part of our history. I view ag as integral to the future growth of this Commonwealth. And so when we invest in family farms like this, we're not doing it just because it's a nice thing to do. We are doing it because we believe this to be an imperative, critical investment. And when we make an investment in a place like the Kulp family farm, when we help you get to market more quickly so that your capitalist ideals are able to shine through more speedily than ever before, that puts us in a position to grow the Pennsylvania economy, to create more jobs in communities like this here in Blair County. And that's a good thing for all of us. So no longer does economic development just run through our areas with skyscrapers and our suburban office parks. Economic development is now inextricably linked to agriculture and lands and farms like this. And so between the speed and the dollars we're investing, I think ag is on the rise in Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania is on the rise. And so I just want to say thank you to the Kulps for making that journey from Montgomery County years ago, for coming here to Blair County, for believing in agriculture and believing in farming, and for doing all you do to expand your operations. We are proud to be your partners in progress, and we are proud of the example you are setting for other farmers across Pennsylvania. The reason why we are able to do this, the speed, the innovation, the investment, is because we have the finest agriculture secretary in the entire country serving us right here in Pennsylvania. A farmer himself, a trusted advisor to me, and someone who I know enjoys the respect of people all across this great Commonwealth. And that is our Agriculture Secretary, Russell Redding, who I invite up to say a few words now. Thank you.
You're always kind. Thank you. Thank you. I feel like when we get to that moment, I should just say amen, right? And just keep moving. What a pleasure to be here, to the Kulp family. It's really comforting when I come here to any farm, but particularly here where you've got this amazing journey. You've got a family that's generationally minded. They're thinking about how to expand and where to go, and the points the governor made about economic development, and of course the dairy industry, which you are key to and part of this amazing sort of industry in the state. And we have had many conversations about the growth of dairy, and there's not a better sort of demonstration of the potential than right here at the Kulp family farm. So thank you for that vision. Thanks for the investment. Thanks for believing in both dairy and agriculture. I want to say thank you to the governor. I will give you the short version, but to say that it's really been an amazing sort of opportunity to have somebody who really believes in the future of the industry, right? Who sees it and through his own eyes. I mean, I have a tendency sometimes to talk about history. The governor reminds me it's about the future, right? And this sort of, you build on the past and the foundation, but that future of what it looks like in Pennsylvania, he gets it. He thinks about it all the time. I had the pleasure last week at Ag Progress Days to introduce him, and I talked about the promise of our land-grant university system, right? That there's a lot of promises inside of that. But it's about growing the agriculture industry. It's about showing up when it matters. It's about leading when you need to, and making sure that our communities are not forgotten in that. Agriculture is important, but it's also about that community, the sense of community. There's not anybody who is more committed to that promise than Governor Shapiro. I can tell you. He believes it. It is organic in the sense that he sees it, he listens, he invests, and believes deeply in both agriculture as an important enterprise, but also critical to our success. And that is an honor every day to work with him and to see that and to have that expressed as well. The governor spoke of economic development, and I'll just say, in addition to having the first economic development strategy in 20 years, it's the very first time that agriculture is called out as a pillar, but it also set the stage for all of these other conversations, because in the pillar is not just the economics. It is about generational transfer. It is about permits and a workforce. It's questions of economics and economic development opportunities. So inside of the pillar are all of those things that each of us in the agricultural community point to as reasons for the work that we do, the benefits of agriculture to our community. It's about those things of the tangibles, right? It's the products we produce and the food security. But it's also the intangibles. It's the quality of life and what it means to this neighborhood in Martinsburg and Blair County. When you have farms of this size and scale and the other farmers who are here, the work that you do, that's inside the pillar. The work that we do right now around workforce development, the apprenticeship programs, is inside of that pillar. It's the investments of innovation. It's the investments in the ACAP program and the conservation work that we've done in a bipartisan way, very proud of that we have an ag conservation assistance program. It's why we're investing in a Western lab. It's why we have the only organic center of excellence in the nation. I can make that list, but the point is that these are all inside a pillar. It's not a standalone pillar. And then we come to permitting, and I just want to say thank you to the Penn England team when we were together at the end of March, and Kyle came up to us at the end of the presentation and said, hey, we're going to need your help, right? We're going to test this system of speed. And really pleased to say that between the consultant and these folks being really intentional about the work that they're doing, the conservation district, who is critical to us, the township supervisors and their permitting were critical to us. They did everything right. But they had both the skill to navigate this with us. They took us up on an offer. But I would just say to all of the ag community, it's important to ask, just ask, right? Can we meet with you? This is one of the pieces of speed that is just ask the question, can we review a pre-application? They did that, right? They understood the timelines. They understood the economics of this operation. The township understood that. So just a note of thanks to the Kyle family, the consultants, the team that was together. But also want to say thank you to Jess Shirley, the Secretary of DEP, OTO, was part of that conversation as well, our State Conservation Commission. What the governor set in motion several years ago was very, very intentional. It was about, if we're going to grow this business, we're going to grow the economy, then the process has to follow at the same speed, right? And it's important to stand here today. We were together in the winter. Seasons, as we know, are important to agriculture. Seasons are important in our government life. Seasons are important to the agricultural economy. So you move from we want to do this in February to a process that took us from March to August to now being in a position where in the fall season you can do what you need to do. Right? So that's a good feeling. That's the comfort that is here. That's a full team effort to bring us here. Led by the governor, who's passionate about this. I appreciate his both recognition of the importance, but also his belief in it and the people who are part of it. So, Governor, thank you. Always a pleasure to be with you, and thank you for your leadership to the state, leadership to agriculture, and your commitment to making both this industry and the state a better place. We do that in full partnership. Always in partnership. Everything that we do involves somebody else, a group of people. So we are pleased always to have the legislature as part of that. We've got districts that I've mentioned, but also the advocacy and support of farm organizations like Farm Bureau. And Chris and I have known each other a long, long time. And two constants in that conversation were, one, deer damage, right, which we dealt with, and permitting. So we have now taken a step in the right direction and addressed both of those. But Chris has been a good leader. He is a tireless sort of advocate for the Farm Bureau, but also agriculture in Pennsylvania. We cross paths many places, from local events to our work in D.C. as well. So Chris, honored to be with you, and thank you for being a great partner. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. Thank you, Secretary Redding, for those kind words. And today is actually a celebration. Thank you, Governor Shapiro, for coming through with what you promised. I remember when he was running for governor, and so we tried to grill him a little bit, right, to see where he felt agriculture needed to be. And he said he would be a tireless advocate for agriculture and that he would address our issues. And today we're here to celebrate with the Kulp family a milestone, something that I think we've worked a really, really long time to try to get to a place where permits, getting these types of forms together where we can actually have success in a relatively short amount of time to be able to keep the farm moving. Agriculture doesn't sit still. It's moving at the speed of light. And so we need to have a government that runs with us, that works with us, and able to deliver those needs that we have. You know, as a first-generation farmer, I look back in the 90s when I got started, and I think about the permitting process back then. And yesterday I was at a Holstein meeting, picnic, and I was asked, do you think you could do that again in today's times? Well, I'm here to say that as we're going through this journey, it's getting closer and closer to being able to say, yes, that opportunity is there. It is about our young people. It is about our next generation. Third generation for the Kulp family. I'm looking forward. My third generation was just born 8 weeks ago, right? I can't wait to have someone do Instagram on my farm. I mean, it's not my cup of tea, so I'm not gonna try to start that. But you know, it really is important that the family farms have the opportunity to continue to turn generation after generation, and to be able to build and to continue to thrive as a family farm. So on behalf of our 26,000 farm families in Pennsylvania, we are excited, and we thank you, Governor, for that push. Secretary Redding, for your part. Secretary Shirey, she's doing an amazing job of trying to move the needle in DEP to make sure that the opportunities continue to thrive. We've got work to do. This is the starting point as we continue to drive forward to remove those barriers from where we are today to how we push forward to the future. So I'm just excited because I know with your leadership, Governor, we're going to be able to continue to move this needle forward. We're going to be able to show other farms how to be successful as they've been successful in getting this done. And exciting times are here, folks. We're going to be able to continue to show that agriculture, the #1 industry in Pennsylvania, huge economic boom for this Commonwealth. And we're going to continue to push that forward and continue to thrive and be able to feed this Commonwealth with ease, and to be able to make sure that food security is a thing of the past. So thank you very much. I appreciate being here. It's always an honor.
Thank you very much, Chris. I'm happy to take a few questions from the media. Before I do, I hope it is not lost on anyone here the power of partnerships. I'm one of the only governors in the entire country with a divided legislature. We've got a House led by Democrats, Senate led by Republicans. All the investments we make are done on a bipartisan basis. The partnership between the parties, it's really important. I think it's also important to have partnerships not just within the Capitol, but with important organizations that have the voice of Pennsylvanians in mind. And the Farm Bureau stands at the top of those organizations that we work with to make progress. I talked before about the Ag Innovation Fund. Doesn't happen without Chris Hoffman and the Farm Bureau. I talked about the permitting progress that we've made, the speeding up of these processes. Doesn't happen without the Farm Bureau. And I didn't touch on this today, but I think it is important to note that you can now hunt in Pennsylvania on Sundays in large measure because the Farm Bureau came on board and made sure that we were focused on doing this the right way, with conservation in mind, with still a respect for people's culture and faith in mind. We were able to do all that together, and the Farm Bureau made a difference. And by the way, that law traced its roots back to 1682. So Chris is a pretty damn good advocate if he can change a law that's existed on the books since 1682. Why do I share all that? Because I know that we live in a time where there's a lot of division and a lot of people just kind of feel hopeless that progress can be made. Here in Pennsylvania, we're showing that we can do it differently. We can make progress. We can create partnerships. We can work together. We can have people that might be uncommonly working together, but here in Pennsylvania, it becomes more common. And so I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the partnerships. I'm grateful to you. I'm grateful for the Kulps and allowing us to not just be here on this farm today, but highlight this as an example of what I want to see in farms all across Pennsylvania. A commitment to the land, to stewardship, to growth, to doing it the right way, to doing it focused on family and faith. I think that's a beautiful thing. And so I hope that that is not lost on anyone, the power of partnerships and the power of what we're seeing right here on this land. So thank you all for being here today. And if you got any questions, we're happy to take them. Yeah.
So this is in reference to what Secretary Redding said about the system that Penn England kind of started up.
Yeah.
Could you explain a little bit more in depth about how that system works into getting these permits done quicker?
Yep. Well, let me say a couple words and I'll let Secretary Redding take it from here. In the past, if you applied for a permit, I think it was an experience that was kind of miserable for a lot of folks. They didn't know who to call in government. They felt that government wasn't really working with them, but actually setting up barriers to what they want to do. And for those who continued to stick with it and go through it, it was a frustrating and long experience. And I bet there were a whole lot of people who said, to hell with it, it's not worth it, I'm not even going to try. We created a new office called the Office of Transformation and Opportunity, who basically are there to handhold you through the process, take you to DEP, take you to Department of Agriculture, and help you through this process in a way that doesn't feel adversarial, but where, and I preach this all the time, where we are trying to get to yes. That is our goal, to get to yes. And so I think you've seen an example of that here with the Kulps, and you're seeing examples of that all across Pennsylvania. And it's true when you're trying to build a skyscraper in downtown Pittsburgh. It's also true when you're trying to build an expansion on a farm here in Blair County. Both are critically important, and for both, we now have a process where we work with you as opposed to against you. You want to add anything to that, Mr. Secretary?
Yeah, but I would just add, so we were at Penn England in March, and that was for sort of energy reasons, and we were talking about the digester. Yeah. And so, but in that conversation, Kyle approached us and said, hey, we're just starting this process. He mentioned February as a start. We were there in March, and at that point, we wanted to really be helpful. This was in motion prior to that, but there's nothing I think as complicated as this permit here. They're in an exceptional high quality watershed. Keep that in mind because that's the highest bar of review. But they took advantage of a couple of things. One, key to the Governor's Speed Initiative is the pre-application review. I say it all the time, as simple as that sounds. We have very few folks did it. They were smart enough to do it. Right, the consultant and Kyle and team said, let's review this application to make sure that it's complete. So when it comes through DEP for review, there aren't any questions about the completeness of that. They were clear about the administrative process. They understood the date lines that were important to them to make sure that we were sensitive to that. They used the qualified professionals. They used people who knew what they were doing to make sure that there weren't any other issues. And that all came together. So that's the process. The permit itself is the same. The process is improved. And the process piece here, to the Governor's point about partnerships, townships, Conservation District, DEP, Department of Ag, OTO as the concierge, right, to navigate across all of government. That's the difference. And you shaved about half the time off of the process. So, and that's available to every farm across Pennsylvania. Anybody who's doing a permit, take advantage of the pre-application process and work with the districts and work with us. Thank you.
Anything else? Yep.
Can we get a general update on the 2025-2026 budget and how are negotiations going with that current budget?
You know, I mentioned before, I'm one of the only governors in the country with a divided legislature. Again, House led by Democrats, Senate led by Republicans. Finding common ground is really hard in this business. I will tell you that we are at the table. We're working aggressively. My job is to bridge the differences between the House and Senate. They've got, different views of the world, different priorities. And so my job is to find those areas where we can find some agreement. I said at the outset of this process that the one thing I was absolutely certain of with my budget proposal is that it wouldn't look the same at the end as it did at the beginning because we all had to compromise. Compromise is not a bad thing. We are now at a point, though, where each of the leaders, Senate Republican leaders, House Democratic leaders, they got to make some tough choices to close this out. I was on the phone with the Republican leader yesterday, Democratic leader this morning. We are working to bridge those differences. I'm working to bring them closer together and to come up with a product that can pass in both the House and Senate and make its way to my desk. I think it is important that in that process we continue to invest in the key principles that have really guided my work as governor, investing in education, investing in economic development, like what we're talking about here, investing in public safety, making sure we do so in a fiscally responsible manner. My budget proposal was to cut taxes. I think we can still do that because I want to put more money back in people's pockets. I think we're getting there. We're narrowing the differences. And again, my job is going to continue to be to pull both sides together. And both leaders are now at a point where they got to make some tough decisions and close this out. And, I'm feeling more and more confident each day we're going to get there soon.
Is there any update on Kahana Boot Camp and SEI Rockview and how that process is going?
We're going through the process now. Department of Corrections is leading that. I'm not going to step on their toes or get in their way of that. What I can assure every corrections worker, though, is that everyone will continue to have a job with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. No one's going to be laid off. We're going to be able to meet the needs in our Department of Corrections system and continue to employ every single member of our DOC family. Anything else? Okay. Thank you all very much.
Good.
Thanks.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. It's a pleasure to meet you. So we haven't up to this point, just because a lot of digester companies, especially the ones up in New York, they prefer large farms, basically animal numbers that hit economies of scale. So that
Gather together with others in the area to split the cost of two farms. That's something you're interested in. I'm not pushing you toward it, but that's something you're interested in. Right?
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate that.
That's great. Where's your pen?
I don't know. Where's yours?
He's got this amazing American flag pin in the shape of a pig. So he shared one with me once. It's pretty cool. What made you want to do that? Okay, go on. I think it was for you guys. Faith is like a really central part of our lives.
When we meet again. Good it's been transition, but no, I'm very excited that they're super talented, super ambitious, and I'm very just happy that they were interested. It's really something.
So I thought that was really cool, and I definitely got some awesome opportunities through it, just like sponsorships and different things, and meeting different people.
Really?
It was cool. And then I actually had a farm cruise that Hank and I went on, and I took Hank, and it was a
All because Instagram.
yeah, it was just fun.
Russell Winter on there. Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah, I'm very thankful.
I think it's very cool that you got this platform. I thought that seemed a little staged. I didn't think that was legit.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
No, that was not staged at
That
all.
was totally staged. Emma showed, I don't know where Emma went. Emma showed me that. I think that was staged. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Kyle. It is wonderful to be here on the Kulp Dairy Farm. I want you to know that I feel like I've made the same journey as the Kulp family. I'm just a kid from Montgomery County who's now out here with all of you, and so I appreciate the opportunity to see this now third generation farm do extraordinary. I've seen a whole bunch about your farm on Grace's Instagram page, so I've had the opportunity to follow all of the trials and tribulations of the Kulp family and the farming here, and just appreciate the way you highlight both farming and faith, two central pillars of our Commonwealth and lines. And the key document they needed to be able to meet that construction timeline was a stormwater permit through what's known as DEP, the Department of Environmental Protection. Getting that permit done on time was obviously critical because they got to fulfill their. I'm proud to report that thanks to the incredible work of our administration's Office of Transformation and Opportunity, led by Katie McLaughlin, who is here, thank you very much, Katie, as well as the Department of Environmental Protection, the Kulps were actually